Good morning or good afternoon. Might even be good night for some of you guys. Today is Saturday, February 13th. Since it's Valentine's weekend, I felt it to be the appropriate time to discuss love today. So today's podcast is titled What I Know About Love Today, Draft 36. And I say Draft 36 because I am 36 years old. I feel like love is one of those things that is always working or always a draft. Like, I don't think you can ever put down like your final thoughts on it until you're gone. And so I always, well, it's not always, but I tend to shy away from topics like this because it's like I kind of like to stay away from religion and love sometimes because I feel like these things are so personal, sometimes like fingerprints. So I'm going to share a lot of personal stuff, like things that I've learned about love. This is just in hopes that maybe it helps someone who may be struggling with love or not fully understanding it, missing it, needing it, wanting it, whatever. Excuse me. I am still sort of getting over what was just like the craziest cold ever. I'm having a cup of coffee. I've got my 5 points. I've even clipped a piece from my personal love journal. For those of you that don't know, I do keep a love journal. So I sell my business journals or like how I stay organized, professionally, but I do keep a journal. But I keep it on my laptop because I don't want people to I don't want to leave it open for somebody to read it. But I do keep a love journal on my laptop to just talk about how I've been sort of navigating my feelings of love. And what I have found is by keeping it, what I love most about keeping a journal is that I like to go back and see how I've grown. I think so often we look at our lives and we think we're stagnant. We think we haven't made any progress. And when you go back and read, you realize you actually have. And that you probably should be giving yourself more credit than you are. And so I love having it for that. So I've clipped something out from July 24th, 2014 for you. So I will be sharing that as I get through the points. I am going to do my housekeeping because I have to. The My Tachi journals are in stock. If you have ordered one, everything shipped this week. So we got them in from Canada this week, and they all went out. I checked before I left work yesterday, and every order had been shipped. So it should be arriving at your doorstep soon. If you go ahead and order today, anything that you order, the very first journal, this is my year journal, or even a mug, it will ship in real time because we have some stock now. So pop on over there. I was going to in the journal business, but so many people constantly reach out to me by DM, by Twitter. So I said, okay, I'll order some more. So those are up in the store. That's mytachi.com. Shop your life away. All right. What I know about love today, draft 36. First thing that I feel like I know about love is that being happily single is a real thing. I know that it doesn't seem like it to some people, and that society makes you feel like there's something wrong with you if you're single. Like, I remember I've shared this, I think. I went to meet up with my dad in Vegas for his 60th birthday. I think it was 2 years ago. And I met up with him and his girlfriend, and I was alone. It was It wasn't Valentine. It wasn't Valentine. It was just his birthday. I had to work in Vegas, and so I said, you know what, Dad? I'm working in Vegas. He loves Vegas. We'll meet up. And I remember after the weekend was coming to an end, and we were leaving the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil show. I forget what they call that, but if you get a chance to see that in Vegas, it is worth every single dollar. But we went to go see that, the three of us, and as we're waiting on valet, he's gonna go his way, I'm gonna go mine. He looked at me and he says, "Do you ever get lonely? Like you always are traveling around like this. Like, how do you do this? Do you get lonely?" And you know, I think my first initial thought was like defensive, like, no, I don't get lonely. And I was like, I thought about it and I was like, well, sometimes, yeah, sometimes it is difficult, traveling all around and being by myself and, working a lot and all the time. But I told him, like, I chose this. Like, this is the life I chose. This is what I really want to be doing more than anything right now. And I understand that there's that saying that you can't have it, you can have it all, just not all at once. And I do think that you can still work really hard and have relationships, but when you're trying to work at the level and at the pace that I was going to build something, um, I understood that I wanted to be selfish with my time. And so it wasn't that I couldn't have had a boyfriend or a mate or a partner or whatever, but that's just what I felt like doing, and just being honest with myself and saying, this is where I'm at in my life. And I just wasn't in the space to invite someone, because I know me well enough to know that when there's someone else involved, I will consider them, their schedule, versus me just focusing on my grind. Like, if I need to go hard for 2, 3 whole years, I want to be able to do that and not have to consider someone. So I was like, sometimes it gets lonely, but this is what I'm doing right now. And there's also this thing of like, sometimes understanding that you're just not ready. Like, even if you want to be with someone and you think it'd be nice to be with someone, sometimes understanding that you are in like a real learning phase of your life, and not that you can't learn with someone, but sometimes it's easier to learn alone, and just being okay with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being single. I've been single and I've been in relationships, and I remember, I think it was maybe 6 or so years ago, um, when I was turning 30, I had gotten into this like panic phase that I put on myself and I allow others to put on me. Like, oh my God, I'm 29, I'm going to be 30, don't have anybody. I don't even think, I've dated around a little bit, but I've not got into anything serious. I need to do this. It's time for me to settle down and get married. And so I got together with someone and settled down. As my first time ever living with a guy. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, is this what everybody is in a rush to do? It just wasn't for me at that time. 29 years old, 30, I think I was still doing that. I was not ready for that kind of life. Like, the sacrificing, I didn't even want to eat dinner together at night during the week because I was still busy working. I wanted to sit at my computer and work till I got tired. But when you live with someone and they come home from work, you got to sit and have dinner, blah, blah, blah. And now that I'm older, it's something that I don't mind. And I've been able to sort of shift my life and work things around that it works for me. And maybe I'm just older and more tired. But at that time, girl, I remember saying to myself, God, if you just get me out of this, I promise to never complain about being single again. And that is something that now I'm cool with, the ebbs and the flows of like enjoying the time when I'm single and enjoying the time when I'm in a relationship. So wherever you are on the spectrum, I really wish that I could like, I really want to write a book about like happily single. Like, it's not the end of the world. Don't let make don't let people make you feel like it is. And really just learn to enjoy your time like being single. You should be getting a lot of stuff done. If you don't have to like share your life and your schedule, it is that takes away even more excuses for you to be, knocking things out on top of your grind, getting up early in the morning, going to bed late, handling your business. So, if you are in the single space, enjoy it. Because I think that the difference, being in and out of love is just different. Like, one's not better than the other. They're just different. They're just different things. Number two, endings really are amazing new beginnings. There's this saying, like this Buddhist interpretation. It's not the true Buddhist saying that everything that has a beginning has an ending, and making peace with that. If you make peace with that, all will be well. And it's something that I talked about in the last podcast of like not being afraid of endings. I don't know why we have like this anxiety about the end of things. It's like, I understand that, we get comfortable, we want to have something, but I really do think that if you have this ultimate trust, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, whoever, whatever your God is, but if you have a true trust and faith about what is already written for your life, if that's something that you believe. If you believe that like what's for you is for you and what's written is written, in that the promises for like peace and joy and happiness are also for you, even if you are struggling right now, even if you are experiencing some unfair things, everything is for you. And so if something comes to an end, be open for an even better beginning. It's really difficult to do because the end feels so hard, but just trying to be open and understand that however this ended, sometimes, when things end for me, I'm always just like, you know what? I feel like if the end was abrupt or I didn't have my hands in it, is that it was God's way of doing this for me, because it was something that I wasn't able to do for myself, that I was incapable of moving the needle in my life. And so I feel like these intersections in life, these places where, sometimes it's like you get to the intersection and you have a choice, but sometimes I feel like God will completely do a roadblock. Like he will make the weather bad. He or she will make the weather bad. That there will be this thing that completely cuts off your second option, forcing you to go down a really difficult path. And on that path, maybe there's deeper understanding, deeper life, something even better. And I've always said to people that like I have experienced some really, really serious hardships in life. And I have really been in the midst of those and wondered why. Like, are you serious? I mean, it's like from breaking up, sort of getting put out, going to a house that I remember the first day I moved into this house, like it was sweltering in Atlanta. The AC wouldn't work. I don't even know that I could afford to fix it. Come to the house that I ended up moving in was in foreclosure. I ended up having to move again during Thanksgiving week, and it was just one of these things where it's like it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. But I remember having this conversation with my dad, like after issue number like 12 of this new beginning, living in Atlanta, not knowing anybody, and my dad just being like, there's no use in you spending time being mad at, ex-boyfriends and shady landlords because this person knew their house was foreclosing and they took my rent. Like, there's no need in you spending time being mad at them. Like life is going to take care of those people the way life is going to take care of you. So I want you to focus on the positive, focus on where you're going, what's happening. And once I started to do that, everything did start to get better. It was almost just like bringing me back to gratefulness. And so, whatever starts will end, but you don't have to be afraid of it. And so, I think in the past I would be I had so much past trauma about things ending that I'd be so afraid to get involved with people or to start things because I wasn't sure how it was going to end, or I wanted to control the ending based on what I knew. And so that is something that I think you have to always know, that like if I could show you a crystal ball of your life, that like what your life will be like if you accept the endings of things, you'd embrace them. You'd embrace them even more and even more quickly, because life really does get better. It really does. Number 3, if you think you struggle with the how of relationships, get help. And I know that's probably like, what do you mean? It's not bizarre or strange not to know how to be in, how to navigate relationships. If you haven't had an example, if you haven't had good examples and you really don't know how, get help. So that is something that I did. Like, it took me a minute to get there. Like I said, this is what I know about love today, draft 36. I had to figure out how, which leads me to a question. A couple weeks ago, I got this podcast question that I'm going to read to you guys, and then I'm going to tell you what I wrote back and discuss it a little further. But this is a question, and I enjoyed it. This person says, "While everyone is asking about career, mine is pretty much in line. And now I'm focused on finding someone. How did you go about finding love?" So I said I did a few things. First thing I did was look at myself in the equation. So I took inventory. For those of you who got my This Is My Year journal, you know that I'm all about inventory. I knew that I was approaching this whole relationship thing all wrong, so I decided to get some help with a psychotherapist to heal the trauma of my past, things I saw with my parents, and then past things that I had accepted. After lots of time working on myself, I opened myself up to the idea of dating, not thinking that every person that I got along with was the one. In the meantime, I got so busy living my life that a partner was truly the icing versus the actual cake of my life. I dated when I found someone that treated me the way that I liked, and disagreements arose. And when disagreements arose, I was able to talk about them and understand that differences are normal and conflict is just a wrinkle versus the ultimate ending. It sounds cliche, but once I really decided to focus on me, I was able to be open to inviting someone into my life. It's easy to find someone, but having the tools to navigate a relationship, which is what I needed, is totally different. So I don't necessarily think that, there's all these like anecdotes, and in order to find someone, you have to do this, you should do that. I think that you should do whatever it is you think you may need to do. And if nothing is what you need to do that. Everybody doesn't need to do something, everybody doesn't, need to, sometimes people just need to live their lives. And I think for me, I didn't struggle with finding people. Like, that was not the case. But one thing that I noticed a pattern of constantly picking the same kind of wrong person. That was my pattern. I also understood that, when I did find someone that was decent, that I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to act. And like, there were some things that I used to do based on the trauma, like because of things that I experienced. I just didn't trust. So if you told me you were going to do something, you didn't do it, there was zero room for you to have dropped your phone, lost your phone. I don't trust. I was like, mm-mm. If your phone is off and goes to voicemail, I don't. Now I'm never answering my phone for the next 2 weeks. Like, that's the kind of stuff I used to do. And I'm not saying that people aren't sometimes lying, because they are, but I just had to stop. Like, I stopped like participating in that. And because I stopped getting involved with, it's not even attracting, well, maybe it is attracting, but I stopped attracting and getting involved with that kind of person. So I don't even have to like play those kinds of games. Like, I always pick people who were BS people, and the reason why I was doing that, I now know, because I did, therapy and figured this thing out. I was doing that because I was trying to like rewrite my past. So there's this thing called repetition compulsion. That is when you always are picking the same person, or you always think that this person, like if you think that married men are always attracted to you, um, it's because of repetition compulsion. It's you are attracting them, and you attract them by like the cracks. Like, people, men or women or whoever, you can immediately tell a person who has cracks, right? Broken, the guy that's always attracted to the girl, the bird with the broken wing, and you think you can cover that wing up. A lot of girls are trying to cover that up with hair and makeup and all that stuff, and talking trash, but broken wings are obvious. You're not flying. You don't fly. And so the kind of person that finds you down on the ground, kind of whittling around, is also another broken person, another broken wing person. Like, the analogy just hit me, but people whose wings are minute and are flying, they're flying high together. When you're flying high, you will attract people who are also flying high with you. But when you've got that broken wing or crack in you, that's what you're attracting. And so that's what I was doing. And I realized that I was trying to rewrite my past in the future. And so that is what you do when you are constantly attracting the wrong person, is that you're trying to take something really bad that happened to you in the past. It could be something you experienced with your parents. Maybe you always saw your mom or dad cheating. Maybe your mom or dad left. Maybe you fell in love with someone who cheated on you, and now you want to try to rewrite this story. And it's a really unconscious thing that we do. It's not even something that you're doing. You're not trying to do it. It is just something that you do. And so that is something that I was doing, and I literally just had to like figure out how to do all this stuff and realize like what really wanted me to get some help about the whole love thing is that I was just like one day I was like flashes of all the last like let's just say 10 or 12 guys I had dated, they were all the same person. You know what I mean? In one way or another, they all were the same person with the same drama. And I was just like, it's not them, it's me. Like what am I doing and how do I stop this? And so you may not have anything, maybe you don't, and maybe you just need to get out there and live your life. And so everybody doesn't need to do something, but if you feel like you struggle with the how, go ahead and get some help. Number 4, figure out what you want. I think that was the thing that I kind of was like struggling with, is that I hate lists. You know what I mean? It's just like, I am not going to make a list about somebody that I want to be with or whatever. But July 24th, 2014, I was flying to my friend Amy's wedding. And Amy recently lost her husband suddenly, which saddens me. And so if you have a moment to just send some light and love to her, only married a year and a half, and I just can't imagine the depth of the pain that one could feel when you have found your person. But I remember flying to their wedding and thinking to myself, at July 24th, 2014, I was definitely very jaded about love, and I was just like, and now I got to go to a wedding. But I decided to journal on my flight from Atlanta to LA to this wedding, just in hopes that maybe this weekend of love and this celebration of love would open me up to the idea of finding someone, because I kind of wanted to find someone, but I was still just so jaded from the last situation that I was in. And I think that it was like maybe a year prior that I had gotten out of the last sort of like whatever the hell I was doing. I don't even know what to call it. I think I saw something called a situationship. Like it was definitely something along those lines. But I wrote this journal entry, which I'm going to share with you, which I can't believe I'm sharing with you, but I'm going to tell you sort of like what I journaled and why I'm glad I did it and how that helped me in the future. So, July 24th. If someone comes along that fits into what I've got going on and what I'm looking for, okay, so what is that? Okay, so I realizing as I'm reading this that I didn't read you the whole thing. That was just this graph before the list. And so I'm saying if someone comes along that fits into what I've got going on and what I'm looking for, and then I stop and say, okay, what am I looking for? This is not a list per se, but more of a what I know for sure about having a partner. I now know that I want a partner. I don't think I've ever used that term before. When you say it versus husband, boyfriend, or baby daddy, you are insanely intentional about what you're looking for. Like business, you have to find people that mesh well with the company culture. And what I've learned over time is that even if a person doesn't mesh with the company culture, they are not a bad person. They simply don't fit with the current direction, which may be different than it was last year. You usually know right away or within months if that person fits. My partner will fit the company culture and I will fit theirs. Number 2, being desired is at the top of the list of my deal breakers. It is so important that my partner ensure that I feel desired and vice versa. I truly believe that desiring your partner brings you closer with deep intimacy, lots of talking and sharing, and the intimacy allows you to lift your veil off. Being able to be vulnerable about everything with your partner is love. Number 3, having passion about your life is important to me. It doesn't have to be something that I know about or even care about, but it should be something that you care about. Seeing someone frustrated because they can't figure something out actually turns me on because it means that they are still trying in life. I want to be with a partner that never stops trying in life. Like Robin Roberts said, I am grateful, just not intent. As I get into number 4, I notice they get like a little kind of less serious and maybe just, physical attraction and health. These things are important to me. I want to be with someone that is active and interested in a healthy lifestyle. You don't have to be a gym rat, but knowing the importance of moving your body and what you put in it. Number 5, I think, is someone fun. What does that mean? Someone that can get up and go, someone that can be introduced to a group of strangers and acclimate. I'm definitely into that. Like, I want someone who's fun. Another thing that I have is romance. I like romance. Even if they aren't initially romantic, they learn how to see above, someone that never stops trying in life. And my final one was respect. And so I continue to write. I think that sums it up for the most part. That was actually a fun exercise and something I've never done before. Maybe I should check people against this list the next time I get involved. Wait, let me add one last thing that I shouldn't have to say, but based on my history, let me put it in writing. Single. This person should be single and available. The end. So that was my list that I wrote on my flight to Los Angeles on my way to a wedding, July 24th, 2014. And I am in a relationship now, and I had gotten into a relationship with someone prior to the one I'm in now. And I remember writing in my love journal and checking that person up against this list, and I was just like, this person is not hitting all these points, and they're not things about height and weight and what kind of job and any of those things. It's just like these are the things that I know to be true, things that I know that I need to thrive. And so now I am in a relationship with someone who is absolutely fun, absolutely romantic, super passionate about life, like works in the arts. And like I said, I don't have to get it, but somebody who is super into what they're doing. So the desire is there. And then the partnership, you know what I mean? It's like as a person in business, I do understand partnership and understanding how to ebb and flow with someone, and someone who can sort of like, everybody takes turns like sacrificing, like not doing things, and like just understanding that. So that's my list. If you feel free to borrow from it. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on my Ask If Him. My last point is to be as fearless about love as I am about my business. That was the thing that I really had to work on, and something that my therapist will always talk to me about. Like, you are not afraid. Like, you will take on these massive, massive things in business, but when it comes to love, you are just like so afraid. So I've asked myself, like, am I afraid of work rejection? Like, I'm not. Like, I really don't even care. If someone rejects me, I figure out another way. If somebody doesn't want to work with me, I figure out someone that does. And like, I don't even take it personal. I'm like, that's fine. This person just wants me to prove myself. I am not afraid of the unknown when it comes to business. Like, I'm not. I'm just like, you know what? People always say, what will happen if this ends for you? Like, then I'll figure something out. My life won't end when my business ends, which helps me understand that my life won't end when my love ends, if it ends, when it changes. And one thing that I do is like, do I bring my whole entire self and everything to the table? Do I bring my whole entire self with everything that I do? And I do. And it's just like, I've learn to start doing that, and just like not being afraid and not BSing, and just not being afraid to say what I want. Like, for some strange reason, people are afraid to say, like, I'm looking for a relationship, I'm looking for something serious, this is what I want in my life, this is what I see for my future. Like, there's nothing weird about that. Like, people always say, don't say this on the first date because you'll scare somebody off. Scare off that person. Scare off the wrong person for you, because if you can scare them off, they're not the person for you. And I realized that once I became confident about my ability to love, I became confident about knowing what I want. That list, kind of having that, kind of knowing, having that sort of tattooed on my heart. That's not about the other person. That's about me. I'm now confident about what I know I want. And having that confidence about knowing what I want helped me to end a relationship that wasn't for me. Like, I'm confident enough that these are the things that are going to work for me. And it's not that you're not a good person. It's just that these things aren't meeting my needs. The same thing. I think that also helped me fire someone for the first time. Like, I used to struggle with that. Like, I didn't want to fire people because I felt like I don't ever want them to think that they're bad people. They're not bad people, just not working for me, not working with the company culture, and being okay with doing that. Like, once I became confident about what I wanted, and then I had the tools, I became less afraid. And those tools are things that I've learned through therapy that I didn't really know how to do, was just really how to communicate negative feelings, and how to communicate things that I really wanted to do, and learning how to say no. Like, I used to feel like if somebody really, really, really wants to do something that I had to do it because if I said no, they'd be disappointed. Because when people tell me no, I get disappointed. And now, if I don't want to do something, I just say no. And when someone gets upset about my saying no, I explain that I do understand that it's disappointing to have someone say no because I know how that feels, but I really just don't want to. I don't have to have a reason for not wanting to do it. Everybody will be okay. I think initially it's jarring. Telling people no is always that thing where they kind of like they're taken aback, but in the long run, people respect you more. The love thrives because you are just really being authentic and being true to yourself. And so once I got those tools, I started using my voice and got confident about what I wanted. I was good. And one thing that I stopped doing is like, I don't accept blame for things that don't belong to me because sometimes you'll get with people, and even in my very loving relationship that I have today, I still will be like, no, that's not it. You know what I mean? Like you can get into an argument or have some conflict, and I've had an argument or just, some conflict where it's like, you think everything's about you. And it's like, actually, no, I don't. You know what I mean? Like, that's just an easy thing to say. It's easy for people to throw that out. It's easy for people to throw that out when you are like in tune with your star player, when you are aligned with what you want and don't want. People think that you are making things about you, and it's just like, no, I actually just know what works for me, and I'm okay with setting a boundary. I'm okay with that. And if you need, because you don't do that in your life doesn't mean that everything's about me. I welcome you to set some boundaries in your life. I welcome you to say no to me to the things that you don't want to do, but I'm not going to take blame because I don't want to do something, or because I won't accept like someone else's issues. And so you have to be like, I'm real clear on that. Like, it's like, oh, you think everything's about you? Like, actually, no, I don't. And let me tell you why I don't. Because I've done this, and this with you. I've done 15 things that you wanted to do. And now that I don't want to do one thing, everything's about me. No, 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 no. um, Another thing is that I stopped making shit up. You know what I mean? I told you how I had all these trust issues. And so somebody would do something, and I would concoct all these different stories and all these different things about this person. And when the truth of the matter is, I just needed to not be dealing with that person anyway. You know what I mean? If somebody puts you in a space where you got to stay up all night thinking about the truth and thinking about what they might be doing and all this, let them go. It's not you, it's them. And that stuff's not going to change, and you don't need to have any conversations about it. But you are too great of a person to be in a situation that's not easy and comfortable. Like, you don't need that time spent pining over, wondering about someone is better served pining over and wondering about the future of your business, the future of your career, the future of your life, the future of your travel, your happiness, not somebody else. Um, Another thing is that um, I love my life as it is. You know what I mean? Like, with or without somebody. Like, my life is good. I'm validated. I love the work that I'm doing. I travel. I love traveling by myself. I love getting up and going places on my own. Like, I love my life as it is. And it's just like, learn to love what you got going on. Be content. Um, all that, all that. So that's what I know about love today. Draft 36. You guys have a great Valentine's Day. Sending so much love to you. Bye.